The Legend of the Cursed Galleon, a short story by Monica Clare. Written by Monica Clare. Narrated by Peter McGiffin. Prologue. The world is full of things we can't explain, strange noises, mysterious stone configurations that seemingly serve no purpose, and sometimes an object that should be ordinary but has the ability to affect the lives of those around it. If you're lucky, you get to read its story without ever having to come in contact with it. If you're not so lucky, you experience its curse in whatever form it manifests. And if you're maybe a little lucky and a little unlucky, it will tell you its story. The Cursed Galleon is a mesmerizing sight, one that you won't easily be able to look away from, a strange heirloom that lives in the oldest pub in England, the Olde Trip to Jerusalem, in Nottingham. The pub, previously known as the Pilgrim, dates back to 1189 AD and is the home of several other, less interesting artifacts. The replica of the English Galleon is encased in glass, a decision made by the owner of the pub in the 1990s at the recommendation of an alleged spiritualist, after people who had tried to clean the galleon started to die unexpectedly. The model of the ship is approximately 2 or 3 feet long, carved from wood and decaying like a ship doomed to rot at the bottom of the sea. Through the overgrowth and decay, a small patch of the hull shows through. When properly lit, it can be determined that it was once painted red. The jib boom still stands outright, defining the front of the ship, and the foremast stands above it, creating a triangle shape between the jib boom and the rigging for the masts. The main mast appears to be broken, because although one can tell where it should be standing taller than the foremast, it is about equal to it in height. A chain runs down the length of the main mast post and disappears into the growth on deck, leaving onlookers to wonder if the ship was chained down before being placed in its glass case, and why. The back end of the ship is where it becomes misshapen and difficult to determine exactly what is what. Either the back end was built up for a large windowed captain's quarters and has broken off, so that it is now careening on the edge, or the cloth of the main mast have fallen over and created a tent-like structure on the back. I'm inclined to the latter option. The growth on the ship is the most fascinating part. The pub, as well as a lot of caves in Nottingham, have been built into the sandstone of the ground. Although no other artifacts in this sandstone environment have accumulated the same dusty growth, it is interesting to note that something has grown all around this particular ship since it arrived. Legend says that it was given to the pub by a sailor who was unable to pay his bar tab but offered the galleon replica as payment. Its exact age remains unknown. People who work at the pub only know that it's been there for the entire time they've worked there, and the entire time previous employers have worked there, and the entire time the employers before them worked there. Galleons such as these were most common throughout the 16 and 1700s, so I can't imagine it's any older than that, and most likely not much newer than that either. Not everyone who touches the galleon meets an untimely end, but a few regulars who have dared to touch it at some point in their lives have experienced other negative effects, such as an unfortunate love life. The morning after I met the galleon, merely in its presence, I woke up with an awful sore throat and fever. But what is it that makes the galleon what it is? I spent an evening studying it for hours, and it told me its tragic story. The Legend of the Cursed Galleon, a short story. Theodore Dawson eyed the wax-sealed letter that one of the crewmen brought to him while they were briefly anchored at Meander Cutoff at Sawley along the River Trent. Theodore had spent the last several years serving aboard different ships in the Royal Navy Armada, but had most recently accepted the commission as first mate aboard the HMS Jewel of the Crown in 1689, having spent an eventful year at sea navigating the ship to India. When they arrived, the cargo hold was filled with New World resources,